Well, we're, you can see we got it cut, cut apart. We got the floor out of it, the rear floor's out of it. Slid some new panels in there to make sure everything's gonna fit just right. I mean, we gotta do a little bit of trimming here and there. Overall, it's coming together, rather nicely just for a dry fit. So probably next week we'll start welding it together, make a car out of it sometime between now and next year. Did you clamp that again up there?
It still ain't. That ain't right. Now you got that big gap there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this thing's supposed to go right there.
Yeah.
And bend it, put the spot weld right back in there, and buzz it across here and clean it off. You'll never know. Now's the time to back half it if you want.
They rebuilt my door hinges, so I got all of that.
Yeah, because I'm gonna need to put the doors on.
Okay.
I'll make the piece and lay it up here, then cut this out, so when I put the piece in there, it'll, and then I'll just flush weld it, grind it all in, smooth it out, and you won't even know, And that's what we gotta do here. We gotta fix these up a little bit. Like I said, I'll etch prime all that.
That's probably before.
Yeah, that's good rusted bitter,
Yeah. Yeah, that'll work well.
Doing the headliner for that panel truck. We're making bows for it right now to stick the headliner to.
I think mine's good if I just take that little bit off.
Yeah. I'll just take a little bit more off, I don't care.
You?
This should be good.
Should be good? Take her out.
I'll trim a little bit more. You good?
That's a lot better up here. Check this side.
Okay.
You good?
Looks like it'll work.
Just getting a few pieces covered. Getting pretty much all the panels done, getting sure that everything lines up. Getting all the tack struts for the headliner all built, get them attached and primered so they don't rust. And then hopefully just start putting everything together and hopefully everything buttons up, makes it look good.
Today we're just trying to figure out if the interior is going to interfere with the fuel system. Fuel tank sits behind the rear cross member in this, so I've got to figure out a way to get fuel to the front side so I can feed the pump. And it looks like it's going to have to run a 3-section fuel line right underneath of the seat. Fortunately, we're running braided stainless fuel line, so a leak's not going to be an issue. But the clearance on a car this small with this big of a motor is always going to be tight. I got the body put back on today so we can finish setting up for the front steering. It's got some pretty wild steering angles, and I got to figure out a way to get it around this engine. The owner of the car wanted the engine set down as low as possible for performance, and unfortunately that also makes packaging a little bit more of a nightmare. But we'll get it all figured out. I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do for the steering. Just the way this engine's set, there's just not enough room for a conventional steering system, so I need to come up with an unconventional steering system. There's a steer clear unit, but it's like $600–700. Yeah, customer doesn't want to spend the money, I don't think. I think what I ended up doing is cutting this shaft short, putting another Heim joint down here, and just running it down the steering column or down the frame rail. I was finding out that if this can come down that 1/8 of an inch, it won't bind. It was binding just the tiniest bit, and if I wiggle it out a little bit, it goes away. So if I drop that, that should keep the angle consistent. It's like right now, If I hold this steady, you can spin that wheel all day long, works just fine. I think it's just too much of an offset for that to overcome. And if you look here, this is dropping into this too far, so I might have to bring this back more. It's hitting already.
Hitting what?
I mean, it's just catching on a bind.
On what? What's the bind?
I want to say it's this shaft back here on the upper side.
And that's why I keep saying is you gotta move that shaft forward.
Pull this hole.
Pull it forward. There you go. Now when you do it, there's a bind right there. This is not gonna bend over this way. So if this is straight here and this one's straight, that's it.
So
Now
short-
the only thing is the whole thing coming this way.
This whole shaft
This
walking.
whole shaft coming forward. If it's the top one here,
This joint here?
that one there, then it's what?
Too long.
What's that?
Too long.
Too long. If it's the one down below, it's too short. Because what you're gonna have to do is move that top, the bottom one in, and what it will do is flatten out the top one. Does that make sense?
By pulling this one out, you're gonna flatten this one?
Is it or isn't it?
The first one looked like it was too short, so I threw that one in. I can throw this in here and see where we're at. It's still wrong, so we're back at it. I'm just gonna keep playing with it till we get something that does work.
Video rear view mirror, video side cameras.
Okay.
For the turn signals. Turn one on, it'll picture up in the top. Turn the other one on, it pictures up in the top.
Now they have them to where it's sort of just like a regular rearview mirror.
Right, I've seen
And
it.
they have a little screen in one side or in the middle.
This dash in the center here is going to have a navigation system built into the dash. What we had talked about doing is up here putting one rear view mirror. You know how they have those electronic rear, electronic, right? Now, can you make that programmable so that if you hit the turn signal, that part of it will light up and show that side? You know what I'm saying?
Like two side
Yes.
looks. I'm sure we could. I could use the turn signal output to trigger a latched relay.
Right.
Now, the license plate holder, is it the normal 4-prong holder?
Yes.
Okay, because they actually have cameras that will mount up when you mount the top 2 license plate bolts. It's a little thin bar about, maybe about that big. The camera in the middle is about that big.
Okay.
It's just dead in the middle of the license plate.
Okay.
And I mean, they look real. If you're not looking for it, you don't even know it's there.
Right.
Is he worried about backing up and being able to see? Is he worried about being able to back up and see here?
He's worried for the backup camera, but I'm talking about for the turn signals themselves,
To be able to roll?
to the left and to the right.
Does he want straight side shot or does he want kind of a backwards angle?
You know, and I know, is should replicate a mirror
Exactly.
to be able to give him that look. So what I had thought about doing is
Because I just figured he's not going to have side mirrors at all.
no side mirrors at all.
Okay, I gotcha.
So the other thing I had thought about doing is making something that mounts here that's pretty inconspicuous. I mean, how big are those cameras?
What about the size of your thumbnail? Okay.
See, the thing is, we're having cow lights that'll sit up here. What I had thought about doing is doing something in the back of the
cow
housing.
light?
In the back
Do
of the
that too.
housing and try it that way.
We could do that.
I mean, it's just it's a little post that the light sits right here. Now, it should give you enough angle going this way.
Yeah.
And like I said, all we have to do is draw out the back of the housing. I mean, we can modify this a little bit if we need to.
That actually looks like it might be enough room back in here.
So we'll have like I said, the cameras out here, you can see, now this is where the problem is gonna probably lie into, is the angle, but that should be good. We'll kind of spec this out for you inside here and kind of give you an idea of what he's looking at. You can go back and kind of put it together and let me know.
No problem.
Now, there's always a catch.
What's that?
This car's gotta be done and complete by November 30th.
I can get you the exact opening that this will fit into. Yeah, and it's in a...
Because as you can see, I mean, there's not much room in there.
Oh.
It's kind of like, you know, putting 10
Yeah.
pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. Now, like I said, I don't know what the accessories that this comes with, but he wants the Bluetooth,
Okay.
he wants the iPod interface, he wants the XM radio
Okay.
tuner.
He wanted it to have that on that machine, wanted to be Bluetooth enabled, which
Right.
was an option, and the Zune, it's
Okay,
like an
here's the
iPod
information
deal.
right here, yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to have
This
that
guy's-
because he's already has 2 of that same system in his other cars. That's why he picked that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was
So you
familiar
just
with
want to be
it.
able to interchange it and do all that stuff. So he wants, this unit allows for the hookup for the iPod, also for the Bluetooth module. So you know what we need.
I know what you need.
What I need you to do is spec it out and
All right.
give me a price so I can go back to him with it. Got to split that fender there. You
Okay.
see what I'm saying? Split the back of this fender here and move this fender over and add a piece in here. My dad's adamant about that, and I agree with him to an extent, but the point still remains is that shame to have a $100,000 car and have a big gap in there.
Right.
Even though that we debate whether it's supposed to be there or not.
Okay.
Okay? Remember, this car's going up to the body shop tomorrow, so all this has to be done today.
Okay.
Body line parts lines up. This one's right in there. There's no gap at all.
Yours is flush. This is the one.
They hit in the frame.
Oh, I can pull it up.
Bigger banger. It's the way Henry designed them. Just here for moral support. But do they bolt down this way?
They bolt
Forward.
this way. Or
You need 2 of them then made.
the bolt heads are at the front. Yeah, just make a template of the inside of the running board, like the front flange of it. It's real thin metal and real thick rubber. Alright, today we're just finishing up mounting all the front sheet metal. The car's supposed to be up at the body shop tomorrow. We'll see if we can get that done. Jim's going to be finishing the running boards on it, making some mounts for those. And I'm just working on the hood latch and hinge mechanism right now. What we've gotten done was mounted the apron, the front spreader bar, the headlight bar, the grille, the shell, the radiator, and the hood is sitting on there now. Front fenders are mostly bolted on. Everything's just in place, we just gotta finish it up now.
Scribing a piece of metal for that 32 for under the running board to hold the rubber from the running board to the front fender somehow. I don't know why, but I got volunteered.
Well, here we are on our Challenger project, and the subframe was pretty rotted out there, if any of you can remember. But what we did was we reboxed it in on the side here, underneath, backside of that side. Put extra support in there for strength to keep it from twisting, and that's pretty much it for that. On the other side, we got the ugly cut off there. What, I don't know, somebody did, they just rolled a bunch of metal over and welded it together and stuff, and that ain't how it's supposed to be. Plus there's some holes in there, and we're cutting all the rod out and replacing it with new metal, and we'll get it the same contour as it was original after it's all said and done. You won't even know. Need a little bit more roly-poly up in there, eh? I think that'll work. You sure? How you like that there metal bending apparatus there?
With the 70 Challenger, we turned around and put all new on there. Instead of, you know, turning around and cutting up the old panels and trying to replace rust spots and things of that nature. Bill Blinn, myself, and Tony sat down and talked and discussed and really decided at that point in time it's better to just replace than try to repair. When you take and put brand new parts on, you got to make sure that everything fits up right before you start welding it back together, because you get really one shot at it or else you're cutting the metal back off. So it's a meticulous and time-consuming event, but once it's finally done, it makes for a much, much nicer car. The owner is definitely, Bill is, you know, all for replacing the panels. As you've seen, his desire to get this car back to its original state is the most important factor here. Remember, this is a car that his dad bought brand new off the showroom floor, and he wants to make sure that when it rolls out of our shop, it's in that same condition. So what we're attempting to do is bring it back to its original state. To find replacement parts, yes, it's a little bit more difficult than finding for GM product, muscle cars such as Chevelles and Camaros and Novas, because those are readily available. This car has become very popular over the last couple of years here, but the manufacturing hasn't caught up to it yet. So we're in the process of trying to find as many manufacturers that supply this type of sheet metal, and it's been a difficult task, but we're doing it. With the 32, we did bring in a specialist in audio and video equipment. This is our first real attempt to do anything video. Obviously audio we've done in many, many, many cars. Video, on the other hand, is a different aspect. Not that we're not accustomed to it, not that these guys haven't been schooled in it and things of that nature, but we really wanted somebody with the expertise that does it day in and day out. And Justin works for a company that really specializes in that. They specialize in going to dealerships and retrofitting audio equipment onto brand new vehicles. So not only are they working with high-tech equipment, but they're also working on high-dollar vehicles. So we don't want somebody off the street, you know, from audio, video, sound place that said, hey, I've done this before. This guy's working on brand new high-end cars, so we know that his reputation, and again, we did some research to make sure that he is who he is, and you know, his references come back fantastic. So we're very, very excited about having him involved on this project itself. You know, when you put modern equipment onto a car, we're hiding it in places that it will be inconspicuous to the average eye, on the same token functional. And for the Cohens, you know, that's really what he's accustomed to, is that those high-tech toys that are on vehicles. Not only for his own personal pleasure, but for safety reasons. There is no doubt in my mind, once this vehicle is done, it is going to be safer to drive than most cars that are on the street today. There's more visibility from side views with using cameras than you will ever get from a mirror, because you generally get about 130 degrees of viewable space, where a mirror itself may give you 15 to 30%. So from a backing up standpoint, he can see what he's running into versus, you know, before he actually runs into it. And, you know, with a rear view mirror, especially on these straight rods where you only have maybe a 2 by 8-inch rear window on these vehicles, he'll now be able to see again 130 degrees behind the vehicle itself. So, and I've already got the slack from my father. Once he saw this, you know, Pap said, maybe we're gonna have to retrofit all his vehicles with this high-tech equipment. At first, he was very against it. Now that he sees the added benefits of having these on vehicles, there's no doubt in my mind that this is gonna catch on more than just being a fad. The 33 Willys is not without its challenges. You know, Mike Foose and I, who's the owner of the car, and Keith, who is our project manager on the car, have had many discussions on locations of items. Again, it's that old adage of trying to take 10 pounds of material and put it in a 5-pound bag, and again, this is a perfect example of it. You know, you saw the challenges we've had on the 32 so far with locating things. This 33 is much smaller than that 32 is on the inside. And not only that is we're taking a much larger individual and putting him in this 33 than we are in the 32. So again, it goes back down to the same thing. Yes, it's not without its challenges, and yes, it is frustrating at times, but trying to keep the customer's ideas, or pushing the customer's ideas into a reality versus trying to find locations for things. Yes, it is challenging, but you know, it's what we do every day. Well, if you don't stay tuned for the next couple of weeks, you're gonna miss a lot. Number one, but more importantly, you know, when you get a project and you come down to the finishing aspects of that project, or the time constraints that we're going to run into the next several weeks, stick around. It's going to get really interesting. That's all I can tell you.
That's it for this week's episode. Join us next week for Blade Speed and Power Tour right here on Fox 53.
If I could take you up in paradise up above, if you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again, shaboom, and hoping we'll meet again. Oh, life could be a dream. If only all my precious plans would come true. If you would let me spend my whole life loving you, life could be a dream, sweetheart.